It is a huge honor for me to be at Townie Meeting 2016. This is our 14th annual Townie Meeting, and I've been your biggest fans for a long time, at least 10 or 20 years. I don't recognize you today because you usually have one of them big old hats on. What do they call those hats today from those 20s? What are they called? Flappers? Flapper hat?
I wear the big ones.
This lady can rock a hat, and I'm old school. I'm 53. I still love a woman that wears those big hats. You look like you should have been in the Great Gatsby movie.
I love it, man.
I think you should have been born in 1920.
Thanks.
You were born in the wrong. Sorry about that.
Right, you're gonna have to take his phone.
So basically, I just want to start with this. I'm going to set you up, fellas. You guys heard my lecture this morning. Thanks for coming. That was an honor to have people like you. Well, I feel like you're one of my mentors, so it's kind of nice to have a mentor in your crowd. That's an honor. But I just want to start with this, and I'm going to let you guys take it away. It's my perception, and you may disagree with this 1,000%. You may agree. I believe that this dentist doesn't have his house in order, and it's stressful. And there's employee dysfunction. There's high overhead. They're not making the money, and they always think the solution is. You know what the solution is? I'm just going to leave and fly away to Key Biscayne at the Pink Institute or Scottsdale and listen to the Scottsdale Center, or I'm going to go to Seattle and Coyce and I'm going to buy a shiny object like a laser or a CAD cam, or I'm going to learn a new procedure like placing an implant. And the reason it's appealing is because they're getting out of Stressville, USA, where all their stress is. They're going to another city. They're staying in a resort. They're buying a shiny object. They're getting in more debt. They're living in a bubble. And they want to leave, and the reason they want to leave their city is what you guys fix. And don't you think they should just get their damn house in order before they go buy a $100,000 shiny object or learn how to place an implant in frickin' Dominican Republic or Brazil?
Oh, absolutely. They have no idea about the numbers, or they don't want to know. I think some of them just don't want to know. They're scared of them. But the numbers tell the story. We always say that the numbers start the story. They don't tell the whole story, but we always start with the numbers, looking at their overhead, and they don't want to know. We had a dentist in our class last week in Hinman, and we were going over overhead numbers and where they should be and where the healthy places are. His staff, not his salary, but his staff salary was at 32% of his overhead, and he's arguing with me that that's healthy. But he's continued to give them raises, and nothing's changed. The production hasn't gone up. They want to run away from them. They just want anything to distract them from the real story.
Would you agree that we're going to be holding hands a lot on this still? Would you agree that they don't want to look at the numbers because they're not humble? They don't want they want to keep it in the closet, and to bring it out of the closet. I mean, I'm supposed to be the doctor. I'm supposed to be smart. I know everything, and I don't. And my ego is so fragile that I don't want to show you that I got an F on my report card.
I don't think that's it. I don't. Right. I think a lot of them don't understand it. I don't think it's a matter of ego. I don't think it's a matter of I have to keep the secret from my team. I mean, you and I have discussed this before, and that's why I've listened to you forever. Dentists typically don't have a business degree going into dentistry. They want to do the dentistry. You talked about that this morning. You love root canals. You can do a 4 wisdom tooth extraction in 5 minutes. You love the dentistry side of it. But you're an anomaly, Howard, because not every dentist understands the business side of it. They just don't understand the numbers. I mean, I just text, for example, have a dentist in Arizona. She texted me and said, what should I'm paying all these lunches. I'm taking these girls out for happy hour. We're discussing, I'm doing this for my team. I'm doing that for my team. I need a budget. And I said, well, right now, where does your team compensation, which is what they get paid, it's benefits, it's lunches, it's CEs, where is that in your overhead? And she texts me back and she goes, I don't understand what you're asking me. And I said, okay, you should be 25%, 27% at the most in your overhead for your employee compensation. Where are you right now? And she goes, yeah, I still don't understand what you're saying. I said, okay, I'm going to send you a spreadsheet. And it's going to be your overhead, and it tells you exactly where you should be with everything. Fill that out, and then let's you and I have a discussion so we can set your monthly budget. I don't think it's ego, Howard. I don't. I think it's just not knowing.
Yeah, it may be a little bit of apathy because they get so much joy out of dentistry that they don't want to spend the time. But if they spend the time, they're all in. I mean, we've got clients that once we teach them how to look and what to look for, it's like infectious. They want more. Tell me more. Tell me more. But for me, I love business. I grew up on the corporate side of dentistry at Carestream. And I love the business side. That's why I loved your talk this morning. It was all about business, and then you threw football in, and I was hooked. So I think they want to learn. They just don't know where to start. And I think that the teams that we've worked with, that once we explain to them the numbers, they feel bad. They're like, oh my God, I didn't know I was taking advantage. How do we fix it?
My goal in this is the reason podcasts are huge is because they're free and they're multitasking. They're listening to this while they're driving to work or they're sitting on a treadmill or whatever. And I just want my homies to get it done. They don't know if there's anything wrong. Can you go through the numbers and try to explain them to a person who's salivating because he gets to, do a retreat on a molar root canal today with a broken file on the MB2, and he knows he's going to get it, and he's all excited. But go through the numbers because, can you go through the numbers and paint a picture and what red flags would be an issue?
Well, we usually start with the P&L and looking at the overhead. So we want our offices to, at a minimum, have their overhead at 65% of their. We would love it to be smaller. Some of our specialists obviously are smaller, but we love the overhead at 65%. And then so that means their compensation is at 35. We like to get it a little better than that. But then our salary and our teams, we want to see between 25 and 27%. And when we talk about those percentages, it's loaded. So it's everything. It's the benefits, it's the taxes. That's a loaded number. So everything should be in there. And then you come down and you look at lab costs, but they're all variable because you make more, you spend more, and that's a good thing. What intrigues us is your supplies should be around 4 to 7%, and that's where they always want to look to save. And they're not going to save in supplies. That's not where to look. So first, it's looking and making sure that overhead is healthy at 65% and where everything is falling. Do they have a marketing budget in there? Where are the things? Where is their money to spend if we need to? And making sure that they're taking home and they're building towards what they want in life. And then from there, taking it and figuring out what we need. What's that BAM? Okay, now how many days do we want to work this month? How are we going to divide it up? Because we want to take offices so we balance their life once we get these numbers in a healthy place and those levels. So do you want to work 4 days a week? Do you want to work 3 days? What do you want? We've got offices. I want to be $1 million practice.
So go back to the beginning.
Sure.
What's the name of your company? What's the website URL?
PracticeDynamics.net.
Okay, PracticeDynamics.net, and you guys are practice management consultants.
Yes.
So, if 100 people called you, wanting your services, what is their chief complaint? And is their chief complaint what they're worried about match up with what they need fix on? I mean, why are people calling you, and what are you doing for them? And how much is that? Mm-hmm. And what is your? I mean, because who should be calling you? I mean, who's calling you? What's the problem?
I think number one for me is profitability. And
so overhead is the number one chief complaint.
That's not why they call. That's not why they call.
Well, they want growth. They want to make more money.
Systems and teams is why they call. We don't have systems in place. We don't have a morning huddle. We don't have a tray setup. We don't have verbal skills. They want systems, and then they go, oh, by the way, my team.
Right. Because we kind of reverse them, but you're right. Team is number two.
And then Bonnie and I either log in or we get in there into their system and we look at their numbers and we go, wait a minute. There's something else going on here. So very seldom do I take the phone calls, at least, that say, Laci, my overhead or my AR. No, it's systems and teams. And then we take a look at the numbers and say, you need to look at this too. Because they wear their production number like a badge of honor. Right. I'm $1.5 million practice. Well, that's great, but what are you making? It was exactly what you said this morning. I love the way you said it. Okay, I charge $1,200 for a crown. Well, why? I don't know. Well, how much do you actually write off of that? I don't know. I mean, and you said, okay, so you did a crown today, but how much did you actually make off that crown? No idea.
And so what do you do for them? So it's practicedynamics.com.
.net.
PracticeDynamics.net.
Right.
And when you say they call you, what is the number they call you at?
888-425-3235.
Okay, say it again.
425
888.
Oh, crap. 888-425-3235.
And I know a lot of her clients for a lot of years. This is a good smart person here. You have my word on it.
I listen to Howard.
But so go again. Give him a couple scenario case studies. So like, what is the problem? Why did they call? What did you do? How much did it cost? Because here's what I don't understand. Here's what I think your dilemma is. The practice manager calling this. All my really rich friends. And I don't want to say their names and embarrass like Jerome Smith or whatever in Lafayette, Louisiana, but it seems like everyone doing $2 to $4 million a year is always giving consultants $50,000 to come in and fine tune and take us to the next notch, and they're just growing us more and more. But it's always a return on investment. And then all the people that are just like almost ready to hang themselves on the ceiling fan will go buy a $65,000 laser, but they won't buy a 50. So I guess what I'm saying is, it seems like everybody where you would just be God won't buy you. And then everybody that buys you, it's just fine-tuning up a little, and it's still a return on investment. But it seems like the biggest return on investment people never will get a consultant, but they'll always buy a shiny object or go to Cancun to learn how to place implants. Do you agree with that or disagree?
Well, it's hard to say because they're not the one calling. But yeah, the ones in my previous life.
Well, let me say, I guess, how much is the average office is calling you? Because we know the average office collects $675. So what does the average office that call you, what is the average office collecting?
Net collection. We've got some pretty large offices. We've got a couple that are doing.
That's my point.
Exactly.
See, I got a lot of big offices.
Yeah,
because all the big offices like me are the ones using consultants.
Right.
And then all the people who would benefit the most that don't even do $750 a year, they're never calling you. And every time I talk to great consultants, they'll say, well, actually, I mostly do like really big offices. Okay. Yeah, that's why they're really big.
But
because they're using consultants.
Here's the reason why, though, Howard. If you don't know your numbers, and you're not collecting and you're not producing, thinking all of a sudden somebody wants me to invest $40,000 in them, that's overwhelming. For those people who really truly could use some help, that's overwhelming for them at that point. To think of $40,000 price tag,
yeah,
that's crazy.
But they're not going to have to write you a check for $40,000.
No. And that's what I was going to say. My favorite saying right now is that whole "how do you eat an elephant?" That's so weird, right? That's such a weird saying. But how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Mm-hmm. Take baby steps. And I'm not saying call us for it, but when you talk to a coach, when you talk to a consultant, ask them if there's something other than that $40,000 price tag. Say, can we start with a phone call? Can you just look at my numbers and say, do these look right? Where should I start? I mean, don't think that you have to buy the whole cow right now. Just start small if that's what it takes, but ask.
But start.
Yeah, start.
Having the uncomfortable conversations like you were
love
talking
it.
about this morning.
Most successful people have had an uncomfortable conversation, and they are okay with that. That's leaning into the discomfort. That is asking those uncomfortable conversations. Just at least start somewhere.
So go through some case studies. Why are they calling you? What are you doing for people? What are you seeing out there in the field today?
A lot of team challenges, getting everybody on the same page, the systems, not knowing their overhead, wanting to make more money but not knowing where to start, looking to cut supplies, and then teaching them that it's okay if the overhead goes up, but something else has to go up or you're going to make less. It's an equation, right? The numbers they're pretty simple to read, but teaching them that. So what's a good client we can go through?
So I want to give some. I'm just going through what I see on Dental Town, like yesterday. Okay. So yesterday, here, this is a very common question on Dental Town. A dentist is about ready to blow a gasket and cough up a blood clot because his hygienist just came in at lunch and said, "I want a raise," and he's sitting there saying, my overhead's sky high." And she wants a raise, and he doesn't want to confront her. He's afraid. She's my hygienist. I don't want to piss her off. She found me a crown this morning. So how do you deal with that pit in your stomach when a hygienist wants a raise and you just figure, how would you specifically answer that?
For us, it's about having the uncomfortable conversation. We believe in sharing numbers with the team, helping them understand, because 95% of the time when we get to the point where it's not uncomfortable, and we'll tell them, because we'll lead them through the team meeting with the numbers, and it's going to get uncomfortable, breathe through it, and let us get to the end. And let us share the numbers and let them understand. And then let's work together for a solution. 95% of the time they're like, all right, I get it. Let's figure this out. How do we do this? And get them engaged. Get them accountable. For me, accountability is big.
So what's the highest overhead you've ever had to deal with, and how low did you get it down? And how do you get people to lower their overhead?
Probably.
Explain why
Absolutely.
offices have high overhead and how you get it down. Because they're thinking, I need to fire all my long-term staff and replace them with the greeters from Walmart.
Right.
Is that how you bring down staff labor?
Absolutely not.
No, and oh, by the way, coaching, consulting is not about coming in and firing your team.
No.
I mean, you and I have discussed this before. Consultants have a really bad rap, a bad reputation in dentistry because you think we're going to walk in and look at your team and say you have too many of them. She must go, she must go, she must go. That's not what this is about. This is about becoming more effective and efficient. This is about understanding that dentistry is, in fact, a small business. It's about learning business 101 and what it takes. So I love that you, of all people that are standing up in front of these docs and talking about overhead, talking to your team. It's a business.
Right.
And yes, we're healthcare. Yes, we have to take in consideration healthcare. But anyway, talk about the numbers.
So your hygienist, one of your staff
asked for a raise.
Wants a raise,
Okay.
and I feel like my overhead's high. I feel like the PPOs, I'm adjusting off big numbers, and I'm having a harder time paying my bills. And she's my right-hand man. She's been my hygienist for 7
Sure.
years. What the hell do I do?
Okay.
So you start looking at productivity and profitability. You know, are the PPOs profitable? Do we need to get out of some of them? Are we being efficient? Are we looking at the emergency patients? Our practices love emergency patients. They're gold mines. So are they producing as much as they can? And usually they're not. They're not working their systems. They're not. So if you raise your production, then your overhead isn't as high a percentage of that overall number. Not working more days, but working more efficiently and more profitable.
But how do they evaluate their PPOs? When I ask it, it's like, how many PPOs do you take? 5, 8, 10, 12? They don't have a freaking clue.
Right, they don't. This is Laci's soapbox.
It makes
Insurance.
me crazy. It makes me crazy because
Laci, you were crazy before you got into dentistry.
I was.
Yeah.
That's why we
Don't
love
blame,
each other.
Don't
That's
blame
why
it
we
on
love
dentistry.
That's
you
right.
and I were
That's
born
right.
crazy.
I know. But it makes me crazy because we don't look for our adjustments, or we only charge what insurance said we could. No. And I love that you brought that up this morning. No, we charge our fees, and you adjust off what you're not going to collect. And you have to label your adjustments, not just an insurance adjustment. It's got to be Delta. It's got to be MetLife. It's got to be United Premium Plan, so that at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, we can go in and run, and we can go in and we can run a report and say, okay, these are your top 10 PPOs that you're taking right now. This is how much dentistry you produced. This is how much you collected. And this is how much you actually gave away. Okay, and then we take the smallest insurance company with the fewest patients in your practice and we start talking about, do we really need this? Okay, because if you've got 16 PPOs in your practice, but you have absolutely no idea how many patients are actually on those PPOs or what you're producing, what you're collecting, and what you're actually giving away, again, it comes down to business. And with the hygiene question, okay, she's been valued and we love her too, but how many open hours does she actually have? How long does it take her to do a prophy? How many hours or minutes are we scheduling for a prophy?
Are we diagnosing perio?
Do you have a soft tissue management program? If you look at the statistics alone, you have to have a soft tissue management program in your practice. So it's not just, I've been here for a year, the sun's passed around Uranus, loved it. Sun's passed around Uranus, so I should get $1 more. No, it's how many days are we working? Right. How many prophies or how many patients did you actually see? What's our retention? You know, everybody talks about new patients. Well, they're great, but what about the people who came through the door the first time? Right. Are they coming back a second, a third, a fourth time? Are they compliant? Are you retaining them?
Okay, so then I want to tell you another thing. So some of the dentists, I mean, I've heard this at a dinner. I've heard this 100 times. Yeah, well, you're lucky, Bonnie, because you know your wife. She's your office manager. She gives it. My wife's home having 5 babies. She's having a baby every 6 months and all this stuff. And I have to do all this myself. And then the other guy says, well, maybe you're a panacea. Maybe if you just got an office manager. What if the dentist listens to all this stuff. He doesn't know how many PPOs he has. He's not going to do all this stuff, and he's just sitting there listening to this, and he's overwhelmed, saying, I'm in Parsons, Kansas. There's no smart people in this town. I'm never going to be able to teach my receptionist anything you're saying. I'm not like in Chicago or LA where I can hire a bunch of smart people. I'm in Parsons, frickin' Kansas, and my wife's home having a baby every 6 weeks. How the hell am I going to get any of this done?
Well, good coaching. Working with a consultant.
Can you teach a girl in Parsons, Kansas, how to do all this? I mean,
they're the best person to build a relationship. The person in Kansas is going to build a better relationship, care, trust with your patients than the one in Chicago. Not to say that they're not nice in Chicago, but the person in Kansas is going to be, how was soccer practice? How are your kids? Oh my gosh, I saw on Facebook that little Johnny is 13 now. Where did the years go? That's what women, that's what patients, that's what we want now in 2016. That's why social media is crazy right now, because it's all about the relationship. So can you teach somebody in Kansas? Absolutely. It's already born and bred into them. We just got to tweak it a little bit.
Exactly.
So how much do you guys cost? What are the terms?
We've got 3 different offerings. So we've got 3 different services that we provide. Easiest one to get into is what we call GPS coaching, which is remote coaching. And it's that we've got your back thing where we're logging into their systems on a monthly basis, pulling out their KPIs, taking a look at their P&Ls, to making sure they're overhead, and then coaching calls with them to get them understanding the numbers and figuring out what goals do we need to set. What are the KPIs we really should be looking at to get you back?
What's a KPI?
KPIs, key performance indicators.
Those are your numbers, your production, your collection, what's your hygiene.
I know. So your production and then your net production. What are you writing off? Your collection and your net collection. What's your bottom line? How long is that money staying on the books? Do you have collection issues? What are your receivables?
How much is that a month?
$8.95.
$8.95. So
that's a little bite of the elephant.
Less than 1 PPO crown.
Exactly. Right.
And in your experience, what kind of a return on investment is that entry level 1 crown a month? What is the return on that investment usually for the average dog?
It's priceless, Howard. It's priceless.
I know.
Priceless.
I know friends that swear by you.
Here's my thing.
So why will they go buy a BioLace, a CBCT, and a CAD cam, and then fly all the way to the Spanky Institute to learn how to do full mouth
Because that's what they
rehab?
know. Because that's what they know,
comfort.
and that's their passion. That's what they want to know. I mean, how many dentists do you honestly that wake up in the morning and go, "Oh my God, I can't wait to review my numbers."
Can I tell you something that I've noticed, and Ryan knows this. My son's my he's my body.
We love Ryan. We're
in
steal
20.
him.
I've been in Ahwatukee since 1987, and then we've been eating, and we ate a lot of restaurants because my ex-wife, if you want to hide anything from her, you put it in the oven, and so we always had to eat out. And I would always, here I am with an MBA from Arizona State University, and I'd always say, "Hey, is the manager busy? I don't have a complaint or anything. I just want to meet the manager or the owner." And the owners would come out, and I'd say, "So I'm just curious, like, how many people eat here a month, or like, what's your average dinner?" I'd ask them any numbers. They wouldn't know any numbers, and they were always out of business in like 1 or 2 years. And 28 years later, there's only 2 restaurants that are still there, bringing in $3 million a year, and it's Va Benny's and CK's. And 28 years ago, those managers could tell me every one of their numbers. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, CK's, it's beers and cheeseburgers and chicken fingers, and I mean, obviously, no one drove across town to eat their food.
Right.
But he's in business because he knew his. And I have so many different businesses. It's always the people that know their numbers are always in business. And some of the best tasting food that was ever made in Ahwatukee was gone a year later.
But even on Dental Town, Howard, I've seen the posts. I mean, I get like, I'm not even kidding you because I follow way too many of the threads. I get 500 posts if I don't look at my email in a day and a half. It's crazy. But even on Dental Town, it's so divided. You have those dentists who say, just ask for help, get some help. And then you have those dentists that say, why do you need somebody else to tell you this? You should know it. You shouldn't ask. Don't ask for help. It's crazy to me that it's okay to ask somebody how to do an amazing crown, or how to do CEREC, how to place an implant, how to do better hygiene programs, soft tissue management. But it's not okay to ask somebody for help with your actual business. I don't understand
There's
that.
my identical twin brother. Raise the person first.
Every time I see him, I want to like run up and just bump into him and see if I can knock him down, which I think I can.
Yeah.
Good shot, Ryan. Good shot.
It's sad. It's just sad because then when I've gone to every year in Phoenix that I've ever lived there, 1 to 3 dentists commit suicide. And I mean, I've either known them directly, some of them I've had in my front room crying, and some of them, the very least I knew them indirectly from one of my very best friends. And I would say of that deal, maybe 25% were substance abuse, but 75% were financial abuse. And they just kept chasing the ultimate root canal build-up and crown, but their house was never in order. And some of it. So then I want to ask you another question. Here's the flip side to consultants. The problem with this dentist, how do you specifically deal with this? Is I see a lot. The problem is you're a dentist, but your lifestyle, it's like you're Mick Jagger in the Rolling Stones. How do you go into a house, and not to throw women under a bridge, but his wife is batshit crazy and will only buy a $5,000 Gucci purse, and she has to drive a Mercedes, even though when he met her she was a waitress at the Waffle House. What do you do when you go in there and say, dude, you're not Mick Jagger, you're a damn dentist, you're not the Rolling Stones? How do you see that very often?
Well, I think that comes out in, again, start with the numbers. If you look at their overhead and what they're pulling home, and they're outliving it, so their debt ratio is unbelievable. It's an uncomfortable conversation, but it's conversations we have to have.
Is it very common?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know how difficult it is when somebody hires you to come in and clean and fix their house and clean their house, and they're the issue?
Right.
Like that's a really difficult conversation.
Say that again.
When somebody hires you,
And they're the bad guy.
yeah.
Right. You're the problem.
But what percent of the time is that the case, though? Seriously. All the time?
Well,
or just
out of the clients
all the
that are
time plus
calling
10?
us, I would say 30% maybe, but that's the ones that are calling us. That they've got some challenges, but at least they're having the conversation and we can help at that point. But I would say the ones that are calling us.
There was a dentist in Scottsdale that came to my house in tears, and I said, well, just come down and bring all your sheets and I'll go over them. The guy had 5 cars, and they were like BMW, Range Rover, Mercedes. I mean, he didn't have one. And here I am. Here I am. I have a 2004 Lexus with 120,000 miles. I'm like, dude, my car is 12 years old, and you have 5 cars, and you make payments on each one. It's like,
and that's that guy that you asked. Okay, so you charged $1,200 for the crown. How much did you actually make on that crown? And he looked at you and he said, I have no idea.
And some of those, when we uncover that, we don't hear from them again sometimes because they're not ready to deal with the problem. Like, here's your problem. You're looking at it in the mirror every morning, and when you're ready to deal with it, let's deal with it.
Now I want to turn this conversation around completely. So forget everything we said.
Okay.
Start all I. What is your name again?
Bonnie.
Bonnie, and who are you?
Laci.
Laci.
Laci, nice to meet you, Howard.
Laci, I graduate from dental school this year.
Okay.
I'm gonna have $300,000 in debt.
Okay.
If I was your daughter, what advice would you give me?
Grow out your hair. Sorry, I couldn't
because here's the question they're asking on Downtown. Would it be better financially if I was a specialist? Because you even said that specialists have lower overhead than general dentists. I've heard rural's better than big towns. Is that true? Should I go get a job? I mean, what should I do? Because the bottom line is when I look at the numbers of this show, if 8,000 people watch this show, probably 10 or 15% are probably going to be juniors or seniors in dental school, and all the rest are going to be without 5 years out of me. I never get a 53-year-old to send me an email, howarddentaltown.com, saying I'm a big fan of your show. It's always, I graduated 3 days ago. So talk to these kids like it was your own daughter walking out of school at 3:50. You've seen all the come to the fork in the road, go this way, not that way. She's $350,000 in debt. She's your own damn daughter.
Okay.
Talk to her.
So I'm going to let you go, but first I want to say congratulations. You should be so proud of yourself. You've picked an industry that's actually amazing, and there's a ton of resources out there. So first and foremost, be super proud of yourself, and then don't hesitate to ask for help.
And we're going to talk about one of the clients that we're actually working with, same situation, is let's talk to you and let's think about your goals long term, short term. Where do you want to be 5 years? Where do you want to be 10 years? What's your niche? What kind of dentistry do you want to do? And then let's set the good standards of spending money and making money, and where do we put our team, and how do we build this 3-year, 5-year plan? Where is your blue ocean? Where is your red, where's your strategy? Where do you want to be? We have a dentist we're working with now that's new in the area.
Oh my gosh,
she went back to her hometown. She's
amazing.
amazing. She's wonderful to have business conversations with. Don't shy away from business. Talk about the hard conversations. She's bringing in 100 new patients a month.
You know what she did, Howard?
Is she single?
Yeah. No.
No, she's
but
not.
I almost said yes.
Get married
You know
again.
what she did though? She researched where she was going to put her practice. I mean, it's the
But
smallest
doesn't every franchise in America do that?
franchise, yes. But do we in dental do
No.
that? I mean, she researched. There's not another dental office within 17-mile radius of where she is. She also went next to a Kroger grocery
I mean,
store.
she's awesome.
She's amazing. We just had a
What
conversation.
state?
Georgia.
Georgia. She had 100. She has 131 new patients in the month of March. I mean, she did her research, and sometimes we have to throw things up in the air and see if they stick, but there's a science behind all of this. And what's really great about dentists, you guys are scientists anyway. You have that mind, you have that concept and that for it. So this is scientific as well. Is putting it all together. And Bonnie's absolutely right. It's not in the beginning and throughout, but in the beginning especially, it's not just about setting your numbers for your business, but we need to make sure that you're on track with your personal finances. We need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well as the business.
But let's go back. You did say earlier that specialists had lower overhead. Is specialists worth the return on investment? I mean, do you think specialists have an easier gig than a general dentist?
I think I'm not Chiro. I'm sorry, ortho. I think ortho is like, I love watching orthodontists. They're rock stars, man. They got it going on.
And you know why orthodontists have got it going on and why general dentists mess up with so much of their CE? Is if I say to 100 women, would you rather spend $5,000 on veneers for yourself or braces for your daughter? Biology says braces on your daughter. I mean, I got 4 boys. I'd give any one of them my liver, my kidney, my anything. Right. And they always are going to courses like Pinky, Scottsdale, Coy, Spear. They're always learning how to do full mouth rehabs on 80-year-olds who should be taken to the vet and be put down. And then they wonder why they're not sold. And then I say, well, can you do Invisalign? Can you do ortho? Can you do a chrome seal crown? Because mom will give plasma to fix her baby. She ain't gonna spend that. She ain't gonna get plasma to fix her husband or her 80-year-old dad. So the orthodontists are kicking ass because biology says you would do anything for your offspring. You got 2 kids, right?
I do.
And that's why you said you hate me because your 2 kids didn't turn out as good as my 4 kids.
I know your 4 kids are
I
amazing.
know.
Ryan is actually
she said
my
she'd
favorite.
throw her 2 kids away just to have my 4 kids.
Ryan is. I mean, I would take Ryan home with me today, and not in a weird way. Not in a weird way.
Ryan's like, please tell me she's a cougar. Please tell me she's a cougar.
No, the ortho. Also,
So
look at
specifically the
ortho.
question, because we get this question a lot. Is it a return on investment to get a residency for a year or to go to specialty school? Is that a better? You're a business consultant. Is it a better business thing to become a specialist or just set up my own practice?
Yeah, I'd have to run the numbers. I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I know once they're out, I can tell you where their overhead, and they do make more money, but I don't know cost they're investing in themselves versus. But I will absolutely research that.
Here's what we would
That's what I do.
recommend, Howard. If you're a GP, get the specialist in the same building as you. Like, I think that's where we should go with this, is not necessarily large corporate practices, but if you're a GP, get the specialist in the same building with you. Have an orthodontist in there. Have an oral surgeon in there. You guys work together. You're partnering. All your patients are right there in one building. You're sharing them. They're not going anywhere else.
Okay, here's another question. Specifically, they're going to ask. I just got out of dental school. I'm $350,000 in debt. I read all the trade journals, and they say I got to buy a $150,000 CAD cam, a $75,000 BioLace, and a $100,000 3D X-ray machine. I buy 3 things, and I just doubled my dental school debt. Do I have to buy those 3 things to be a good dentist?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
Do you want to
Say it louder.
Absolutely
You're the
not.
only one saying it.
Absolutely
every
not.
marketing dollar in
No.
dentistry is you got to buy these 3 toys.
I'll let you talk in just a minute. We do this all the time.
She rarely lets me talk.
I would rather see you invest in outside companies that can enhance what you're already doing in the beginning than the technology. For example, communications companies that are allowing us to communicate with our patients the way Americans like to be communicated with now. Data mining, so I can pull out of my practice management software all of the patients in the last 12 months that have had some sort of periodontal procedure done in our office. I want to send them a newsletter about periodontal disease. How about a phone system that actually tracks how many times did my business team answer the phone? Did they actually schedule from that? How about social media? I mean, why don't we invest in the things that cost us very little, but absolutely enhance the business side of it, and then we build up what we need for the technology aspect of it. Like, get your dentistry, get your house, get your business in order, and then go crazy. I mean, we love technology, don't get us wrong. Shiny toys, we love them all day long. But let's build your business first.
Let's get your debt ratio in sync. Get your house in order, and let's build a plan.
Exactly. Get your house in order before you go buy a bunch of shiny objects.
Right.
And I feel they're going to other cities to escape their disorderly house. And it feels good to get the hell out of Dodge when your staff are fighting. Okay, another thing, and I don't want to be beating a dead horse, but I do hear this a lot. I'm sorry that my homies have to hear this question a lot, but I still always get emails that you don't understand, Howard. You're a man. When you tell 5 women to do something, they all jump. I'm a woman. I worked for the old man for 2 years. When he'd say do this, they jumped. And then I bought him the practice, and I say the same damn thing, and they're like, what? You get your own coffee, you know, why are you doing that? You know, I didn't sleep last night. I'm having problems. So I'm still getting a lot of, it's harder to lead a team. It's harder to have a woman leading 5 women digging a ditch than a man leading 5 women digging. True or false?
True.
It's another uncomfortable conversation you have. It's about our favorite dentists talks about the culture within the practice and building that culture and investing in the culture where it's an open conversation. The other problem we have too is when the situation you just mentioned happened, they inherit the team and there's no transition or there's no guidelines or there's no leadership going on. So we need to set this home for the new owner.
But I think
get the conversations
female
going.
dentists, it's rough. It's hard for a female dentist because there's a very fine line between being an amazing leader that other women respect and just being you say it for me, Howard. A bitch. Just being a bitch.
But I'm confused, and maybe it's because, you know, I am an old man. I mean, I'm a grandpa. I got a 3-year-old
53
grandpa.
is really not that old. You're like in your prime.
My
right
dad
now.
died at 60. Both my granddaddies died at 60. I mean, biologically speaking, I probably got 7 years left. I mean, really. I mean, if you talk to an epidemiologist, but here's the deal that a grandpa doesn't get when I see the younger women whining to me. The younger women are whining this to me, and they go after work to have happy hour with their girls, and they go have beers and eat fried cheese balls. I would never do that with my staff. Is that because I'm old-fashioned and old school, and that's why I can come back to work? I mean, how do I go get drunk with you and have to hold your hair while you're puking in a toilet, and then next morning say, hey, you were 5 minutes late? And you're like, dude, you were holding my hair last night. How you know how I'm late?
It's probably not a good business
I never ever held the hair of one of my staff while they puked in a toilet, and that's why I can have them jump.
I'm going to say and call you on it that I don't think it's just a female dentist problem. Male dentists do this; they make the same mistake.
And what is that mistake?
Getting drunk and going out and doing the whole
business.
Okay,
It
so
is business.
so then I want you to specifically lay down the guidelines. Where do you, because here's the deal. Abraham Maslow is one of my favorite. I've always told my 4 sons all the time that I got greater insights to business from anthropology and sociology than I ever did from calculus, physics, geometry, all the hardcore sciences. But when I started studying monkeys, apes, anthropology, sociology, the difference between Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans, that applied to me more in running a business than anything. And Abraham Maslow was the one who said, you cannot be friends with your staff, because how am I your friend when I can fire you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock? And Abraham Maslow said, as long as I can fire you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock and that turns your world upside down because you got to pay your rent and your bills and your groceries, how can I be your friend if I can fire you? So I want you to be very specific. Where's the lines between I am your boss? Well, take the military. How could I tell you, Laci and Bonnie, to take that hill with your machine guns when you're sitting there saying, dude, I might get shot and killed?
Right.
So how do you mix military and dental office and friendship?
Well, there has to be a sense of camaraderie and goals that you're all working towards, but you've got to draw the line when they're bringing their home life into the practice or meeting them outside and getting to, when alcohol and other things come in the mix, you're crossing the line. You're going to get in a situation. I come from a corporate background, and I always took myself out of the situation.
So be specific. So should you do happy hour with your staff?
Happy hour, yeah, but not to a certain level.
But then you don't take it past happy hour. So
right.
So you might start, okay, let's have a great social gathering.
Absolutely.
I'm the doctor. Okay, I'm the doctor. I'm going to invite you guys to happy hour. We're going to have a drink. When they start getting loud, when the team they start going into jokes that I think are funny too, I'm going to excuse myself from that situation and tell them, you ladies,
have
you
fun.
gentlemen, have a great time. And I'm going to excuse myself from the situation. I'm going to be proud that I have a team that actually wants to be together outside of the dental office, and I wish them the best of luck.
Mm-hmm.
But they better be at work in the morning, and they better be ready to go. And you excuse yourself from that situation.
yourself.
So then when I look at my dental office scenario friends, they're the last person to show up at the dental office the next morning.
That's not okay.
So who should be the first person to arrive at the dental office?
Leadership starts at the top and trickles down.
So who should be the first person to arrive at the dental office?
The doctor,
The
owner, the business owner.
And if my first patient is at 7 a.m., when should I get there, and should there be a morning huddle?
Should be there at 6:30 in the morning. Huddle starts at and everything should be
6:45.
ready to go. Huddle starts at 6:45. You're done at 5 to 7, and you're ready to go with patients.
And what should the morning huddle cover?
It's maximum 10 minutes. How was yesterday? What worked? What didn't? How does today look? What works? What doesn't? When is our emergency times for today?
Where's our other opportunities for today?
Other opportunities? Who has a hygiene appointment that also needs restorative?
Okay, here's a problem many people have. The ones that are let's talk just specifically Mormon dentists, LDS. They have 12 to 14 kids at home, and I can
What
say
are you doing?
I can say this because I'm in Phoenix and all my dentist friends are Mormon. So and they got a dentistry. Gordon Chris is Mormon. Here's the deal they have. They want to lower their number. So a toothache comes in at 12 for lunch, and I'm gonna stay into. I had this problem. I would do any toothache through my lunch period, and at 5 o'clock, I'd stay till 7 o'clock, and sometimes staff members. I remember one time I felt really bad, and this is honest, I'll be truthful. I remember one time I was about 9 years out, and my dental assistant, I'm 9 years out, and I don't want to say her name because I don't want to get back to Ellen Gurvitz, and I saw her crying. And I said, "Oh my God, Ellen, what happened?" Because I'm so dumb. I thought maybe someone died or whatever. And it turns out that she missed her lunch because I did a toothache. She's supposed to leave at 5, and here it was like 7:30, and she hadn't eaten since 7 a.m., and she's in the sterilization room crying.
Okay.
That's
an issue, Howard.
Are you saying I had an issue? You are the first woman that ever said I had an issue. You are the first.
Could I have that check for $3.8 million now for alimony?
My ex-wife said I had no issues. I heard it first on my own podcast.
It was all her.
So where do you draw the line to the other side of it, guy? It's like, look, I got 6 kids at home. I'll do anything.
No.
Where does it turn to abuse? The other side.
Let me give you an example. We were in Georgia last month with a brand new client. First time we're in his office. And he had an amazing team. And he was a great guy. Very jovial, very happy. They had 6 operatories, 3 hygiene full-time, 3 of his restorative. And he was on roller skates.
He was rocking it.
I mean, they were crazy. Bonnie and I were like this, just head pinging, bing, bing, bing. And he was amazing. And we were both like, this can't, something's
off.
This can't be right. Went to lunch. He came back. Swear to God, I thought the dude stroked out at lunch. I mean, he was sweating. He was ashen. He looked, and we
bad.
went to the office manager and we're like, "Is he okay?" Come to find out, He's a runner, he goes and he runs at lunch. He is done. He is physically, mentally, everything is done at 2:00 every day. He's done. As a patient, I don't want him working on me at 7:00 at night. You have to know your boundaries. You have to know what you physically and mentally can do, because we are in healthcare. And then you need to set those expectations for your team, so that they can have their boundaries and their expectations, and you've got to allow them the protein. You need to allow them to mentally take a break at some point during the day. If somebody walks in and has a toothache and and it's noon and you feel like you can do that, I think that's awesome, Howard, but you have a team behind you that has to be able to back you up as well. So I do think there's a fine line between, yes, I'll see everybody, and yes, we'll make money off of this and it'll be great, but also you have a team that's behind you that you can't do what you do without them.
And the key is balancing it, because he met his production goal by 1:00.
Right.
So there was no sense in running him ragged from 2 to 5. It just didn't make any sense. That they're still going to make as much money. The patients are going to be better served. So you've got to balance it.
Okay, so you start off that you have 3 programs. You have the first one you talked about was $8.95, and I tried to guess you. In your history of consulting, what % of those did not get a return on investment at $8.95 a month?
None.
None.
I'll
And you're gonna go and you're gonna go home and buy Lanap.
Yeah, I'll give
Go
you the
figure.
name and phone number of every single client we've
Yeah.
ever worked for.
Okay,
Call
so
them and ask them if they
so
got
what
an
was
ROI.
number 2 and what was number 3?
So number 2 is our focus workshops, where they just want to work on a specific area, whether it's goal setting or getting their numbers straight and understanding KPIs, key performance indicators. Then we go in the conversation about lead and lag numbers. So it's key focused workshops on insurance or communication. We do the disc profiling and open that up to whole communication, getting the team to talk.
How much a month is that?
That we go in for 2 days in the beginning, and then it's 2 months of support, and it will run anywhere from $2,100 to $2,600 for 3 months.
$2,600 a month for 3 months.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what's number 3?
And then number 3 is full-on consulting.
It's our dynamic consulting package.
And how much is that?
It depends on the size of the practice. It could be anywhere from, again, $2,000 to $3,500 a month, depending on the size of the practice.
But here's the deal. And of those, for all the years you've done this, what % of them did not get a return on investment?
I would say none.
I know. So why? So,
And we don't
dude, don't be crazy.
Dude.
It's dentaldynamics.net.
It's actually practicedynamics.net.
Practicedynamics.net. We are in Vegas, and there is alcohol involved. Practicedynamics.net.
And we don't lock them in, Howard. We don't lock them into long-term.
What if I just want to call you and talk to you first? Because here's what I believe. Every dentist says, well, they don't get it. I got a special situation.
Sure.
I got a special situation. Can they call you? Do they email you? Where do they call you?
Well, we gave the phone number before, but it's 888-425-3235. I feel like an
I swear to God, I just saw that number on the bathroom wall.
It was me.
It was you. It was you. Okay.
Free marketing.
Free marketing.
It's the Cosmopolitan.
And dude, here's what I mean. I love you to death. I mean, I do these for free. You get them for free. This is my hobby. The bottom line is, you don't blink at a freaking $80,000 laser. You don't blink at a $100,000 CBCT. You don't blink on all the shit that I can give you the names of 1,000 dentists that take $400,000 a year home and are debt free that don't have any of these things. And you can be the most successful dentist in the world and not know how to do a sinus lift, not know how to place an implant, not know how to do bone grafting. I mean, almost everything that you think you have to do, you don't have to do. The only thing you have to do is get your house in order, and you don't have the skills to do it because in your 8 years of college, you know world history, world religion, and algebra, calculus, and geometry, and they never taught you how to get your house in order with HR. Here's another question I want to ask you. I'm just going through things, you know, I'm on Dental Town all day long every day. Here's another thing. I'm so stressed out because I have the best assistant in the world and I never want to practice without her. And I got the best hygienist in the world. She sells dentistry all day long. She's just amazing. And my assistant and my hygienist hate each other's guts.
Yeah.
Take that one.
Yeah.
We
have one of those right now.
We actually do. You know, a tool we use, and I mentioned it earlier, is the DISC communication profiling test. We do that with every one of our consulting clients, and we do it at the first visit. And it's a profiling, it's a personality test, but what it does is we give them a 20-page report on their personality, and then we host the team meeting, and they learn each other's personality and how they react and how they communicate and how they hear things, because we're all different. And that team meeting allows us to have those uncomfortable conversations, and I can't tell you one where we haven't had cathartic healing through tears sometimes, but it's
what is cathartic hearing? I don't know that word.
Healing, just very
does cathartic mean?
healthy. It takes them to the next place, gets them past the elephant in the room, if you will, where they hate each other. But it wasn't that they hate each other; something went wrong. Well, and they just weren't communicating right. For me, 98% of the problems that we address in both our business and personal lives is because we don't communicate. We don't have the uncomfortable conversations. It all starts and ends for me with communication.
But I'll also tell you, and I obviously agree with that 100%, but it also is the leadership. Mm-hmm. It's the leadership as well. And it's okay if two human beings don't like each other, but when you're in business together, when you work together, you show up, you put on your business face, you do what needs to be done, and at the end of the day, it's done and it's over.
Right. And the dentists, they know that they hate each other. And they've known for a year and a half they hate
won't touch it.
But won't touch it. And it grows and it festers and it gets ugly.
Well, here's what I understand. When you're like, this was March Madness, right? And you see the coach, starts with the morning with a huddle before we start. You see him calling timeouts. You call him walking the field. They got a halftime. I mean, totally involved. I go into dental offices and the whole world's crumbling. And after the root canal, the dentist walks back in his private office and shuts the door.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I never see him walking around there calling a timeout or calling a meeting or having a morning huddle. I mean, it basically, if you coach in March Madness, all the commentators are saying, "Where's the freaking coach? Where is he?" Oh, well, he never came in. I mean, it's crazy. Okay, I want to ask you another thing. True or false? Is this just a total fantasy, or is this real? Have you ever seen it done? A lot of dentists think, you know what? I charge $1,300 for a crown, but I take 12 PPOs, and I have to adjust them all off to $800. That's a $500 deal. I'm just going to drop all my PPOs and just have a cash practice.
We have a few fee-for-service practices, but I don't think it's a good business model to drop them all at the same time. Like, it's amazing that you want to go to that model, but it's not good business sense to say, okay, I'm going to just drop 12 now, and all of a sudden we're going to go fee for service. Unless you're independently wealthy and you can hang out for a couple of months while you try to rebuild your patient base.
And it's very methodical. And then you also have to teach the team how to handle the conversations, teach them the verbal skills to address the issues that the patients have, but you do it cathartic, I don't want to use that word again, but you use it very methodically and drop them based on the number of patients and kind of build into it, and then balance it with the cash patients, so it's not, you don't take the hit all at once, you take it over 18 months, and then eventually you get to where you want to be.
True or false? Bottom line is, I just want to learn how to place implants, do bone grafting. I don't want to learn everything you talk about. I don't even care about. Okay. But I need it all done. I'm just going to hire me an office manager, and she'll do it all.
Good luck.
Have fun.
Call us when you're missing money. I mean, okay, then let somebody else be the business owner, and you be an associate, and just go do what you want to do. If you want to be a business owner, if you want to lead people, you can't just do that. I mean, you can't. You've got to, and are there amazing office managers? Absolutely, there are amazing office managers. But with that mentality, you're not going to get an amazing office manager or a business administrator. We've been saying what you said forever this morning. You hire for attitude. I can train skill all day long. I can't train somebody's attitude. Mm-hmm. So do you want to get, and a lot of times we hire outside of the industry for a business team. If we find an amazing person at Neiman Marcus or even at a restaurant that has just that amazing customer service and they get people, we'll bring them into the dental office for a business team member. But it's not just about this, I want to go in the back, I want to do clinical, I want to do dentistry, and I don't care what happens anywhere else. Well, I wish you absolutely the best of luck.
And we only want to work with people that want to work with us. If you're engaged and you're in it, if you're in the game, then we're in the game with you as a leader in your practice. But if you're not, they're not the ones we want to work with, because I'm not beating my head up against the wall, taking time away from my family if you're not going to be.
When we started this company, we said to each other, as long as we can affect change, we're going to continue to do what we do. The minute that we can no longer affect change in this world, in this industry, and what we do, we're going to stop.
And by the way, just FYI, this whole dream started when she was serving time in New Mexico.
That's right.
In prison, and she said, when I
down.
get out of jail, When I get out of jail, I'm so going to start this company.
I don't even have to call my probation officer right now.
True or false? True or false? You know, the reason my overhead is so high is I only get 40 new patients a month. If I did some big old marketing, and forget calling consultants, I'm going to call some marketing company.
Sure.
Because if I got 20 new patients a month, everything would be a problem. That's going to solve all my deals. My house is not in order. I just need 20 more new patients a month. Should I call a consultant or a marketing company? And that's a biased question to ask you because you guys are whatever. But how would you answer that? Because a lot of people think, you know, the holy grail, all I need is 20 more new patients a month, and then I don't need any of this stuff.
My first question back to them would be, how do you know that? Explain to me how you know that you only need 20 patients. How is that going to make a difference? How is that going to fix your house? So it's back in their ballpark, because I don't know. Maybe it is. But tell me, how do you know that 20 patients is going to fix everything? Show me.
And do you need 20 brand new patients every single month because they're never coming back again? Like, what kind of business model is that?
Well, let me ask you another way. What percent of the clients that have called you for years and years and years totally understand their numbers?
One maybe.
1%?
Yeah.
1%?
Maybe.
So you're basically laying on saying, dude, I can assure you, you do not know your numbers.
Right. Because
I mean, can you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can. You may understand the business model. You may understand the business. There's going to be a gap somewhere. For example, do you know how to get the numbers out of your practice management program? Do you know what to do with the numbers after you have them? Strategic planning is threefold. You have to look at where you've been. You got to look at the past. Where have you been? You have to look at where am I right now, and then you decide where do I want to be. So you may understand that production minus adjustments gives you your net production. You might understand some,
basics.
But there's a gap there somewhere.
Well, you know what? You know, one thing that's never been done, no one in practice consulting has ever made a continuum online to explain all you know, because I believe this. I believe all the consultants think, well, if I explained to you how you did this, you wouldn't need me. But I believe it would be the opposite. I believe it would be marketing, because I believe that after the dentist watch the course, they say, man, I totally believe in what you're saying, but I just know I'm never going to get it done.
Sure.
It's kind of like when I go to a restaurant. When I order a steak and baked potato, I mean, I can go home and make a steak and baked potato. I just don't want to. I think if you guys did an online CE deal, they would sit there and say, you know, that's true, but I'm just never going to do it.
Are you inviting us to do one?
I am inviting you to do one.
We would take you up on that offer.
We have no problem sharing how we think the numbers should be read.
We didn't make this stuff up.
You know how
we didn't make this up. We didn't all of a sudden decide this is how you do it.
So I'm Howard at dentaltown.com. So then the guy that does our online CE is Howard Goldstein.
Sure.
So his email is Hogo, Hogo. He's here. I introduced him in my seminar,
Sure, yeah.
But I wish you do that, because my belief is that all the practice management consultants will never do CE on it, because they think, well, because that's what they tell me. They go, well, Howard, if I explain what I'm doing, then why would they call me? And I always look at this. I'd say if you explain what you're doing, I think a lot of reasons dentists tell me they're afraid of online consultants, because you're going to come in and say, well, drop all your PPOs and be a cosmetic dentist and just work on the top 5%. And they're afraid that you don't understand that this is a mining town, and I got to take the insurance, and I'm not going to be Dorfman in Beverly Hills in Parsons, Kansas. I believe a lot of them are fear. So I believe when you guys go and explain exactly what you're going to do, the consultants won't, because they're like, well, then you're not going to need me. But it's actually the reverse. The dentist can say, okay, I believe you and I trust you, and I know I'm never going to get it done.
No,
I want to order a steak and baked potato, even though I know how to cook it, because that's what I want. I don't want salmon and a salad, because I'm committed to obesity, diabetes, and I have stock in insulin companies.
You gotta commit.
That's right.
I'm committed.
We appreciate your commitment. I'm getting there as well with the whole overweight
So
diabetes.
it's practicedynamics.net.
.net.
It's practicedynamics.net. Thank you so much for spending an hour with me at our 14th annual county meeting. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart that you're not going to go wrong with these two ladies. I've known them probably as long or longer than a lot of you guys are alive. I mean, a lot of these punks listening to this are like 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
But thank you for all that you do for dentistry. Thank you for all that you do for my homies. And get your house in order. Don't buy a shiny new toy. Don't go to frickin' Brazil to learn how to place implants and do bone grafting. That's not the secret sauce. The secret sauce is getting people to teach you everything that they didn't teach you in 8 years of college to get a doctor in dental surgery. Peace out.
Thank you for respecting us all enough to be honest with us.
And I'm mad at you because you came here without wearing one of your flapper hats.
It's up. I
God.
showed up yesterday and I
God.
did. I had a hat on yesterday.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.